Okay, so imagine this for a moment. Imagine uncovering something so disturbing that science itself tries to bury it, not because it's false, but because it destroys everything we thought we knew. These are not mistakes. They are not failed theories. They are truths that shook the foundations of human knowledge and were pushed into silence because of it. Number 10. Continental drift. The Earth is not still. In 1912, a meteorologist named Alfred Wegener suggested something unthinkable. The continents move. Not symbolically, not metaphorically, they move. The coastlines of Africa and South America fit together like fractured puzzle pieces. Identical fossils appeared on continents separated by vast oceans. Mountain ranges continued seamlessly when the land masses were mentally reassembled. The evidence wasn't the problem. The implication was. If continents moved, then Earth's surface wasn't permanent. Mountains, oceans, earthquakes, all of geology would need to be reinterpreted. Wegener wasn't a geologist. That alone made him easy to dismiss. Critics fixated on what he couldn't explain, how continents moved. Without a clear mechanism, the idea was labeled speculation instead of science, even though many accepted theories of the time lacked mechanisms too. The difference was threat. For decades, continental drift was actively sidelined. Journals avoided it. Students were taught as an example of flawed reasoning. Funding quietly disappeared. Only after World War II, when sonar mapping revealed mid-ocean ridges and magnetic striping on the seafloor, did denial collapse. Plate tectonics emerged, confirming Wegener had been right all along. The theory wasn't buried because of weak evidence. It was buried because accepting it meant admitting the foundations were wrong, and some truths are too unsettling to face immediately. Number 9. Ancient humans, smarter than we admitted. For most of modern science, early humans were portrayed as cognitively primitive. The Stone Age was framed as a long stumble through survival, instinct over intelligence. That assumption shaped interpretation, but archaeology kept disrupting the story. Stone tools required multi-step manufacturing. Some blades showed extreme precision, repair, and specialization. Living spaces were organized, waste was separated, fire was controlled deliberately. Even more unsettling were signs of symbolism, engraved patterns, pigments, ritual burials. These weren't accidents, they were meaning. Instead of rewriting the model, interpretations were softened, dates were questioned, cognitive implications were minimized, discoveries were framed as rare exceptions. Fully acknowledging early human intelligence threatened the comforting idea of modern superiority. Maybe we were never as exceptional as we believed. Maybe we were just later. Number 8. Life where it shouldn't exist. Extremophiles. For centuries, science believed life required strict conditions, moderate temperature, sunlight, oxygen, stable chemistry. Anything outside those boundaries was assumed lifeless by default. Then, organisms were found near deep-sea hydrothermal vents, under crushing pressure, in total darkness, surrounded by extreme heat. Entire ecosystems fueled not by sunlight, but chemistry. At first, skepticism followed: contamination, anomalies, temporary life. Then more discoveries arrived: microbes living kilometers beneath Earth's surface, others thriving in acid lakes, radioactive waste, frozen polar ice. Life didn't just survive, it adapted. Accepting this changed more than biology. It rewrote the search for life beyond Earth. If life didn't need sunlight or comfort, then the universe suddenly became far more alive. The implications were softened, the language cautious. Life was stranger, tougher, and more inevitable than we imagined, and that changed everything. Number 7. The brain never rests, the default mode network. For much of the 20th century, neuroscience assumed the brain shut down when idle. Rest was seen as silence, activity as function. When brain scans showed widespread activity during rest, it was dismissed as noise. until patterns emerged. Specific regions activated when the mind wandered, during memory, self-reflection, imagination, future planning. This became known as the default mode network. The realization was disturbing. The brain never turns off. Even in stillness, it is constructing identity, simulating futures, organizing the self. Early research struggled to be published. Some journals questioned its relevance. But thinking wasn't a malfunction. It was the system's core function, and we had ignored it. Number 6. Bacterial ulcers, a silent medical error. For decades, stomach ulcers were blamed on stress and personality. The stomach was assumed sterile. Acid meant no life. Then evidence appeared. Helicobacter pylori, consistently present in ulcer patients. The idea was rejected. Accepting it meant admitting millions had been misdiagnosed, that years of treatment were unnecessary. Resistance wasn't about data, it was about embarrassment. Sometimes truth isn't hidden because it's hard to find, but because it's hard to admit. Number 5. The placebo effect, when belief heals. For most of modern medicine, the placebo effect was treated as a nuisance, something to subtract from results. Improvement without active drugs was dismissed, but measurements told a different story. Placebos altered pain perception, immune response, hormone levels, brain chemistry. Imaging showed expectation alone activated real neural pathways. Belief produced biology. Accepting this fully would blur the line between mind and body, a line medicine preferred sharp. The effect was never imaginary, just inconvenient. Number 4. Sleep, intensive brain maintenance. Sleep was once described as reduced function, a shutdown. Dreams were dismissed as meaningless noise. Then brain monitoring revealed structure, memory consolidation, emotional processing, neural reorganization. Even more disturbing was the discovery of waste removal. During deep sleep, fluid flushes toxic byproducts linked to neurodegenerative disease. Sleep deprivation wasn't just fatigue, it was damage. Sleep wasn't rest from thinking, it was essential maintenance. Number 3. The universe expands. It had a beginning. The universe was once assumed static and eternal. Redshift observations shattered that idea. Distant galaxies were moving away, faster the farther they were. Space itself was expanding. If it was expanding now, it must have been smaller before. The universe had a history. The cosmic microwave background sealed it. Reality wasn't eternal and still. It evolved. Number 2. Randomness is fundamental. Science once believed perfect knowledge meant perfect prediction. Quantum mechanics destroyed that. Particles don't follow strict cause and effect. Outcomes are probabilistic. Observation doesn't reveal reality, it helps decide it. Randomness isn't ignorance, it's built in. Certainty was never guaranteed. Number 1. Observation changes reality. In classical physics, observation was passive. Quantum physics erased that illusion. Watching a particle changes its behavior. Measurement alters outcomes. Reality responds to interaction. This isn't philosophy, it's experimental fact. The observer is part of the system, and observation is never neutral. These discoveries weren't buried because they were wrong, they were buried because they were true. Each one forced science to admit error, and sometimes that's harder than finding the truth. The most disturbing part isn't what was hidden, it's what might be hidden right now. Truths waiting quietly at the edges, too uncomfortable to accept yet. Science isn't a list of answers, it's a battlefield of ideas, and some ideas have to fight harder than others. Sometimes silence doesn't mean absence, sometimes it means discomfort. And remember, the universe doesn't reveal its secrets to those who rush, it reveals them to those who know how to look. Subscribe, and keep listening to the silence.